Hi, Mr. James, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today. Yeah, I hope you're doing great. So for a little bit technical check, so can you hear me well, sir?
I can indeed. Thank you, Anna. It's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, great pleasure. Yeah. So I think the audience here and you are here, so I think that we are good to go.
Fantastic. Ready when you are. Brilliant.
Yeah, so hello everyone, hello Polkadot community, and welcome back to our Asset Team Meme series. And today we are having a super cool project on space, which is Zeitgeist, an evolving blockchain designed for prediction markets with a vision to become a central hub for prediction markets on Web3. And built on Polkadot and Gizmo ecosystem, Zeitgeist aims to redefine the way we predict and shape the future. And through the utilization of prediction markets incentive structure, the Zeitgeist protocol plays a vital role in generating indicators of the most probable outcomes in various circumstances with truth and facts. And in case you first know about Polkadot Insider, so we are a channel of getting news, data analytics, real-time data, and research about projects to support retail investors' bills when they invest in the Polkadot and Qsum ecosystem. Okay, so going through the AMA with us today, I'm so honored to have Mr. James on his page, which is a very core team member from Zeitgeist. Who's going to share with us cool thing about Zeitgeist and also what are upcoming exciting news that we should follow up with Zeitgeist in the upcoming time. Okay, no more waiting. We're going to start right now. All right, so kick off the atmosphere. Sir, can you tell us something more about yourself and also about Zeitgeist in general?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much, Anna. And thanks, everyone. It's great to be with the Polkadot Insider community. You guys are a great community, really driving what's going on in Polkadot. You guys have a great community, which is always awesome to see your involvement in the Polkadot ecosystem. So Zeitgeist is, for those that don't know, I mean, a lot of people by now have come to know, but for those that don't know, Zeitgeist is a parachain on Polkadot. We initially started as a parachain on Kusama. Just through various circumstances, the opportunity arose for us to migrate over to Polkadot, where we launched earlier this year. I don't know exact date offhand, but we are a prediction markets protocol. So in essence, the easiest way to explain that is our protocol allows people to place bets on just about anything, but not just place bets, you can create bets. And when I say, the reason I use the word bet is because it's just easier to understand. A prediction market, the reason why it's called a market is because it allows predictions to be created, and each outcome is an asset, and therefore you now have a market where those outcomes are traded. You can buy and sell those outcomes as assets. So in essence, if you look at the infrastructure, we are a glorified decentralized exchange. Actually, we're like an exchange where we are creating assets on a daily basis, and these assets are really just outcomes. And by people buying and selling those outcomes, you can start to get a prediction about what the outcome is going to be. So for instance, one of our featured markets right now is a sports market. It's the UEFA Champions League winners. Who will win the UEFA Champions League? And for the last month, it has been Manchester City as the highest priced asset out of all the outcomes. And the outcomes include the likes of PSG, where Lionel Messi plays, the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, a number of other assets. And the most expensive asset in that market is Manchester City. And as we know, Manchester City are in the final now with Inter Milan. So that's a pretty strong indicator as to what the outcome of the UEFA Champions League is going to be this season. And that's really the core idea of how a prediction market works. People can buy and sell the outcomes, and the prices of those outcomes start to indicate what the result is going to be. So that's, in a nutshell, the easiest way to explain what Zeitgeist does. I know there's a couple of questions coming about governance based on prediction markets, which is something that we're extremely excited about and something that is a real core driver for us. But me personally, you also asked just an introduction to who I am. So I'm James. I'm Marketing and Communications Manager. I work directly with Hutch. Hutch is our CMO. And I've been in Web3 since 2015, writing about the opportunities of Web3. And obviously back then it was known as more blockchain. 2015 was very much just Bitcoin, wasn't it? And then I started Africa's largest news website for the crypto industry, and then teamed up with Hutch and Logan and David, our founders, in April 2021. So I've now been part of the Zeitgeist team for 2 years now, and just really excited about where we're going, what we've achieved so far, and what's to come, especially this year.
Well, that's fantastic, sir. I mean, it's so interesting to get to know more about your journey and also your team member, and also a general picture about what is Zeitgeist trying to do, is trying to serve to the community. Yeah, and we know the prediction market is your team solution and what makes them so interesting and unique. And I think the information is very precious to followers Zeitgeist and also to someone that first know about Zeitgeist. And thank you so much, sir. And also thank you for your compliment about us, Polkadot Insider, everybody first. And I think it's a great motivation for us to keep trying. Yeah, thank you so a lot. Yeah, so for the next question, it's going to be deeper about Zeitgeist, and we are down for it. Yeah, so we know that you guys recently moved from being a parachain in Kusama to become a Polkadot parachain. So could you tell us more about what is the reason behind this decision?
Yeah, that's a really important question, and a lot of people who are deep Polkadot and Substrate ecosystem fans would know that we started as a Kusama parachain and we're very happy as a Kusama parachain. I mean, in terms of the protocol, in terms of the code base, the governance models on Kusama, it's a lot faster. You can get things done a lot faster, and we kind of like that. But to be honest, the opportunity arose a year ago when, deep in the bear market, Polkadot parachain slots suddenly became very attractive. And when I say attractive, I mean they became very affordable. And in light of that, we started to seriously consider, hang on a second, there's an opportunity for us to at least secure a lease on Polkadot as a Polkadot parachain, or at least secure a parachain slot lease on Polkadot, and then see what happens. So we did that in stealth. We didn't tell anyone. We self-funded a parachain slot auction, and when we won, we suddenly realized, hey, actually, there are a lot of benefits of becoming a Polkadot parachain. And so the primary ones for us that made us go ahead with the decision, and yes, firstly to say we are sacrificing the very fast-moving governance protocols of Kusama, right? So we're giving that up in lieu of the other benefits that Polkadot provides. What are those benefits? For us, primarily the liquidity. There are a lot more assets and a lot more projects building now on Polkadot where their liquidity is deep and there is a lot more activity on Polkadot projects, right? That's the first one. Then the second one is from a marketing standpoint. We would go to potential clients. We'd go to events, we'd go to conferences, and you tell people that our blockchain is secured as a parachain on Kusama, and people are like, what's Kusama? The identity and the awareness of Kusama is a lot less, and that's just an unfortunate reality of the world that we live in, when it comes to the understanding of deep tech, right? The deeper you go, the less popular stuff becomes. And so when you mention Polkadot, you say, well, Kusama is the canary chain of Polkadot. All of a sudden they're like, oh, Polkadot, okay, we get that, okay. So what, like Kusama is the testnet and you guys are secured by the testnet? And we have to say, no, we're not secured by the testnet. It's a live canary network. It has real assets. It's a real world environment. But the moment you mention Polkadot, people understand immediately. And so with the press and the communications that Polkadot has, it just made sense for us to move forward, especially considering the fact that we now had a parachain slot available to us in our ownership. It just made sense for us to say, hey, we are now a parachains, we're secured as a parachain on Polkadot. And immediately people go, oh, wow, you are a Polkadot parachain. That's incredible. And it's just one more notch in the belt for becoming a lot more reputable and credible. And, that is an unfortunate reality. I understand that there's a lot of Kusama fans out there who are, a little bit disappointed by that kind of narrative, but it's the reality. The reality is people out there, and, we want to be a global platform where anyone in the world can use our prediction markets. And so, if it means that telling people that we are a Polkadot parachain and it means we have to sacrifice our work on Kusama, then so be it. It's just one of those decisions we had to make. So I hope that makes sense. Those are the primary reasons. Obviously, there's a lease term on Polkadot. There are a number of other technical reasons which all add to our decision and add weight to the decision. But those are the three primary ones. Number one, we suddenly had an affordable route to becoming a parachain. Number two, the liquidity and depth of liquidity of the assets amongst Polkadot projects. And then number three, the reputation that being a Polkadot parachain brings.
Yeah, we know that there are a lot of thoughts behind this decision, and it's not easy at all. But we can see that Polkadot is just so potential for a project. It's all benefits that you just list out that Polkadot will give to a project. And we can see that, Polkadot is another good fit for Zeitgeist. Yeah. So for our next question, well, I'm curious that with non-tech people, it's like me, I don't know much about technology and stuff. So with Zeitgeist, is there any way that I can benefit from? And if so, how is it, sir?
That's a great question. So how would a non-technical person benefit from Zeitgeist? Is that pretty much, is that a good summary of what you're asking?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. So I would say a non-technical person would benefit from Zeitgeist primarily through the prediction markets available on our platform. And you may, Anna, know some inside information, let's say about Twitter, right? You run this great platform, Polkadot Insider. You have a great Twitter following. You understand how Twitter works. You understand how crypto Twitter works. There may be a market, and we've had markets about Twitter before on on our platform, but there may be a market that is created on our platform by some user, by someone, by a company, and that market could be about how to use Twitter or the benefits of using Twitter. Let's just say, for instance, just a random one, if the US government started using Twitter more, would that benefit the US's GDP, for instance? I don't know. I'm just making something up on the spot here. And you may know, hey, actually, I know that is going to be beneficial. And so you go onto that market and the outcome could be yes or no. And you say, yes, I think it will. So, man, it's the yes asset is really cheap right now. It's only 50 cents. I've got some USDT in my wallet, in my Polkadot wallet. I'm going to put $100 on that because I really believe that it will benefit the US government if they start using Twitter more. And so you spend 100 US dollars on the yes outcome, and so that would get you at 50 cents. That's going to get you 200 yes outcomes, right? At the end of the market, if it's proven that it does benefit the US government, you will get 200 US dollars instead of your. I'm just working out the math here. So you spent $100. You get $200 in return, because for every correct outcome asset you hold, you will get one of the token that the market is denominated in. In this example, I've used USDT. Currently, all our markets are denominated in our utility token, ZTG, but I've used USDT as an example because USDT is actually coming to the Zeitgeist ecosystem very, very soon. But right now, if you had to place a prediction on a market, you could buy it with ZTG, and let's say you spent half a ZTG per outcome asset. For each one that's correct, you get one ZTG in return. So I hope that makes sense. You can literally, the easiest way to summarize what I've just said, you can literally make money. You can grow your wealth because of what you know. So you could go through the Zeitgeist application, just app.zeitgeist.pm, go through every single market, and there are dozens of markets on our platform right now, and say, hey, I know what the outcome's going to be there, and you could make a prediction by purchasing the outcome that you think is going to happen, wait for that market to resolve, and you'll then make a profit by being correct. And that's what prediction markets are all about. They're about profiting from being correct. They're about profiting from knowing what the outcome of a certain scenario is going to be. And that's the easiest way to answer that. If you're a non-technical person, you don't need to know the technicalities, how our market makers work, how our liquidity pools work. You just need to know about how to use a Web3 wallet. And by the way, we're trying to make that even smoother so less and less technical people can use our platform, right? But if you, right now, as it stands, if you just know how to use a Web3 wallet, Sub Wallet, Polkadot.js, Talisman, Nova Wallet, if you know how to work any of those, you could benefit by making money on the Zeitgeist platform just by knowing the outcomes of the various markets.
Well, another good news for people like me, and I know it is for a lot of users out there, and thank you, sir, a lot for this information. Yeah. So, talking more about prediction market. So, have there been any real-life use cases of prediction market so far? Can you share with us more about this one?
So do you mean before Zeitgeist? Or do you mean on Zeitgeist?
Well, maybe for Zeitgeist, and maybe in another side, if any, that makes sense. Yeah. So prediction markets have been around for a number of years, and one of our co-founders, David Perry, who is our COO, he was actually involved in prediction markets in Washington, D.C. So prediction markets have primarily been used in politics
up until now, predicting the outcomes of various presidential races. And not just presidential races, but Senate House races, Congress races, various jurisdictional races, and even other politics outside of the US, right? Because prediction markets give the most remarkable, the most remarkable accuracy based on human incentivization. People aren't going to place bets or buy potential outcomes unless they really believe in what they're buying, right? It's one thing to phone up a guy, and again, we'll use the US politics as an example. It's one thing to phone up a guy at the polls, right, and just randomly poll people and say, hey, if you had to vote tomorrow, who would you vote for? Would you vote for the Republican or the Democrat Party? And this dude's sitting at home, he just wants to get off the phone. It's a blasé answer. Well, I'd probably vote Republican, but if that person had to actually put money down on what they think the outcome's going to be, all of a sudden they're committing something that they value, money. And when they put that money down, all of a sudden they're going to be a lot more measured in the prediction that they're making. And that's how prediction markets are able to start accurately forecasting data, which is why they've been used in forecasting, because of course in politics the politicians really want to know what is the outcome going to be, and so there have been a number of prediction markets in the politics arena. In the US there's a lot of regulation around prediction markets because there are gray areas as to whether is this betting, and by definition it's a tough one. We are not open to US markets. We are working with regulators to be fully compliant in the US, but for now we are not, because as it stands, prediction markets are very, very heavily regulated. And so even those political prediction markets, a lot of them have been shut down in the past. And I'm talking about Web 2 based, and even pre-Web 2. I'm talking standard sort of, paper bookmakers based prediction markets. So that's the biggest use case that's been used in political arenas. Before Zeitgeist, there's been a couple. Augur is probably the biggest one, which is on the Ethereum. It's on Ethereum, of course. Augur has been very successful. Metaculus is another one. There's Poly Markets now, which is on the Polygon platform. So the idea of prediction markets has really started to grow. In fact, Vitalik Buterin actually said that it's like Web3 and decentralized applications was designed for prediction markets. It's just perfect, and it really is. And that's why we're starting to see more and more prediction market platforms and applications start to come out in the Web3 era.
Well, that is deep. Like, we just get to know more about the role of prediction market, not only with Zeitgeist, but also with even a greater picture. Yeah, and I think it's very interesting to get to know more about it. Yeah. So with your project concept, so who is the Zeitgeist target user?
There are a couple. For a prediction market to be accurate, you need a lot of users. You need a lot of people buying and selling the asset for it to become indicative of what the outcome is going to be, right? So the first user is, it's going to people saying, hey, do you want to make money? Do you know something? And do you want to make money off of that information? Because we have a platform, come and go through our markets and make predictions, make bets, buy and sell assets on our platform and make money based on what you know, right? I mean, you could even go and research it. If you had to go through our platform today and look at all the potential markets, you could start researching. I mean, we have one about the Turkish presidential election. I personally know nothing about Turkish politics, but someone might say, I want to grow my portfolio. I'm going to go and research Turkish politics, things like FTX in Europe. Will European FTX users be able to withdraw funds? I don't know. I actually don't know what the current situation is. If I wanted to make money, I would go and research that, and let's go find out, and then I'll make predictions. So first target user is, let's get as many people making predictions on our platform. Then once there's a lot of activity, a lot of liquidity from users buying and selling outcome assets on our platform, then the next stage would be going to corporates and political houses, forecasting outfits and forecasting companies, and saying, we have a platform where we can provide you indicative data. Do you want to know whether there are going to be more tornadoes in the USA in 2024 than there were in 2023? Well, we can sell you that data. We can provide you that data. We could go to companies who run entire shipping outfits and say, do you want to know whether there's going to be more hurricanes across the Atlantic Sea that's going to affect your shipping routes in 2024? We can provide you that forecasting data. And so a big part of our operation is to go eventually down the road, is to go to corporates, go to companies, go to institutions and say, we have a platform that can provide you forecasting data. And I think that's important for people to understand. We as a platform, we were not created just to try and make money, or we like the idea of prediction markets. We like the idea that people can bet. No, we actually were really interested in the forecasting aspect of prediction markets and how they provide accurate data. You'll notice if you read up about us, our slogan is basically where the truth wins. For us, we want to see the truth of a situation. We're passionate about true and accurate data. And that's what prediction markets provides. It provides true and accurate data. And so for us, that's a big part of our operation, is to go to the world, go to news outlets and say, we have data which is available, and be able to provide that data to those kind of outlets. And then people will be able to benefit off of that data. So that's a big one. And then there's the third aspect, which we haven't got to yet, which I'm sure you'll touch on. But another one is governance. So we want to be able to go to projects, companies, corporates. And if they want to make a corporate decision that is the most beneficial for their operation, instead of just sitting around a table and making a vote, we want to provide them with the opportunity to make a decision based on prediction markets. And that is called futarchy. It's governance based on prediction markets, which we'll get into later. But if we can provide, and already there has been a bit of experimentation with our SDK, where some projects have experimented a little with futarchy. We've got a bit of a way to go in terms of really seeing that implemented at a much wider scale. But eventually down the road, we want to see governance based on prediction markets. And that's going to be a massive focus for us eventually.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, we just understand more about Zeitgeist vision, and I can feel the passion in your voice. I mean, it just somehow just so touching to me. Yeah, and I can feel like every effort that Zeitgeist have been made to keep serving and not only just in terms of prediction market, but in the greater picture. And I think it's very amazing. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, to just talk about futarchy. I mean, it's a very interesting terms that make me like really want to know more about. So right now, can you share with us more about this so amazing feature?
Sure, yeah. So futarchy is quite a mind bender. But once you understand prediction markets, you can really get to know what we're talking about. And so it's an idea, and it's actually a word coined by a very famous economist. His name is Robin Hanson. He is an economics professor, because obviously prediction markets are in essence all about economics and the economics of human incentives. But Professor Robin Hanson wrote a paper called Voting on Values, Betting on Beliefs. And in this paper, he proposed that there is actually a better way than democracy, right? Democracy is one man, one vote. You go to the polling station and you say, I vote for this person. And, there are places in the world where democracy doesn't work easily, because you have a lot of, say, for instance, unemployed people who have no contribution that they're adding to the economy, but they each have a vote. And then you have people who are worth a lot of money, people who are adding to the economy, people in the middle class who are really contributing to the economy, but their vote counts just as much as the lazy guy on the side of the road who's also casting his vote. And he's just casting a vote for someone who's going to give him free stuff. Whereas the hardworking guy is going to cast a vote based on values and a whole bunch of more nuanced dynamics and variables. So Robin Hanson comes along and he says, listen, there is a better way. I propose to you there is a better way. And if we can implement governance based on prediction markets, we are going to see the best possible outcomes for our societies. Again, Vitalik Buterin actually caught on to this idea. He's also written about futarchy. So if you guys want to read more and research it, it's spelled F-U-T archy. So think of anarchy, A-N-A-R-C-H-Y, futarchy, same F-U-T, and then A-R-C-H-Y, futarchy. You can Google futarchy, Vitalik Buterin. His paper was also really good. It was on the ETH blog, actually. And so what is it? Right. So futarchy is, as I say, it's governance based on prediction markets. And so let's put it into a corporate setting, and I'll go beyond just current sort of protocol governance. Let's go one level higher. Let's go to corporate governance. So, for instance, let's say Google wanted to implement AI into their current search bar, right? We know that Google has Bard at the moment and it's competing with ChatGPT, but let's say they wanted to implement Bard and their AI into their actual search interface. So when you search on Google, there's now AI being leveraged. That's a big decision for them. Do they want to go ahead with that? Obviously, if they got around with their shareholders, they would say, well, is this going to benefit our bottom line? Is this going to provide profits? Is it going to grow our revenue? Will more people be using Google search because we have implemented AI? Now, a bunch of shareholders sitting around the table might be like, yeah, I think it would. So they get the majority and they go ahead and run it. But prediction markets would be able to provide a lot more nuanced ideas about how successful that implementation would be. So futarchy says, okay, we're going to run a prediction market on this. We're not going to roll out AI into our search bar yet. We're going to run a prediction market and open it up to the public or to our entire staff, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, whatever it may be. They can choose who their audience is going to be for this market, but they could say, will this increase revenue, and there'd be a whole bunch of parameters around this specific market. They'd say, will Google increase its revenue by 10% in 6 months after implementing AI to its search bar, right? Yes or no, simple. And people start to make predictions. Now, this specific market will obviously be carefully timed, because you need it to end in a certain time so that people can actually make a decision whether they should implement it or not. And so it may run for a month, even though the market's saying, will it provide more profits in 6 months' time to a year? You're only going to run it for a month because you need to decide whether you're going to implement it or not, right? And so if the market says yes, then the engineers would take that and they'd say, okay, the prediction market is forecasting that it's going to make us more profitable. So we're going to implement this in a test scenario over here where we're going to open it up to a third of our users, and we're going to experiment with it. They're going to, in other words, they're going to make a decision based on that prediction market. They might open it, they might implement it for all their users. They say the prediction market's indicating yes, so we're going to implement it for all our users, and they institute AI into their search bar. Then this does indeed actually start to prove profitable, and they do indeed start to become a lot more profitable. It increases revenue by 10%, as the prediction market said. What would happen is all the people that predicted yes in that prediction market, because they've implemented it, they would then have their they would be redeemed for choosing yes, and all those that chose no, because obviously the answer was, the data has shown yes, indeed they did increase their revenue lines, they would lose out on their prediction. So I'm not sure if I hope I'm explaining that as clear as I can. Obviously, it's an extremely in-depth and nuanced way of doing governance, but it's a lot more. It holds a lot more potential to give you the most or the best outcome for what you want as a business, as a project, as a protocol. So I hope that makes sense. Futarchy, in essence, is making a decision based on a prediction market.
Wow, that's huge. I mean, the concept of futarchy, and that's very amazing. And I think it's very important and very worth to know more about it. Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you, Sir Lud. So now we are talking about achievements, milestones. So can you share with us some of the best achievements of Zeitgeist in terms of products so far?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is obviously very exciting. There are many. I think one of the earliest achievements was our testnet. Our testnet was what we call the Kusama Derby, just a fun little play on the Kentucky Derby, the famous horse race, where we had a whole bunch of horses designed into this interface, and each horse represented a parachain vying for a slot on Kusama. And so we basically used this interface to predict who would win the first 3 parachain slots on Kusama. And this was our testnet. And people could predict. Each horse represented a different parachain project. Karura, Fala World, trying to think offhand who some of the others were there. Obviously, they're all the Canary Network, so I can't even think of them offhand. But there are a whole bunch of different options available, and people would predict. And we predicted the first 2 100% correct. The third was a sort of no result, because there was if I recall correctly, there was a delay somewhere along the lines. with the parachain slot auction, or there was some misalignment with with our third market and the third auction, but the first two we predicted 100% correctly, and that was the first time our software had been put to the test and had proved correct. There may well be a lot of listeners here who took part in that. I mean, I see Oyo, there's one of the listeners. I know for a fact that Oyo was involved in the Kusama Derby, and there may well be a number of others who were part of that Kusama Derby. So that was a big one for us. We released our idea, and it worked. The predictions were correct, and quite clearly correct. It was like really obvious who people were predicting was going to get slot 1, who was going to get slot 2, and that is indeed who won the slot auction. So that was really exciting for us. Another one would be the way we've been able to integrate NFTs into our platform. I mean, that's the great thing about Web3. There's so much more you can do with a Web3 application than just standard Web2 software, right? And so for a bit of fun, we've integrated NFTs. And taking the Remark standard, we've been able to integrate equipable NFTs. For those that don't know, you can overlay different pieces of media onto another piece of media, and each piece of media is an NFT. And so over our launch period, we integrated profile pictures that were an NFT. So firstly, you can get a profile picture that is an NFT. And I think that's still available now. You can mint your own profile picture for 200 ZTG, which is not a lot of money. You just need to go to the identity section on the Zeitgeist application, and you would mint a profile picture. Now that profile picture can be sold on Remark Singular platform, right? But that's not all. If you then go and make trades on any of our prediction markets, after a certain amount of trades, you're going to get different badges and different ornaments that go on top of that profile picture. Things like a halo, things like a necklace, things like glasses, a moustache. We had some Christmas ones over Christmas where you could get a Christmas hat, you could get a Santa beard, and you could get all these different little things depending on how much you traded. And then you were once you had met those criteria, obviously it's all on chain, so it immediately picks up how much you've traded. That NFT gets minted and is now available. You can then equip your profile picture with a cool pair of glasses or whatever the case is. And this has worked really, really well. And that's something that we're extremely proud of. And then I think the biggest thing is our application itself. I mean, you just have to, we're not even a year old. Our application is not even a year old. And you just have to go to our app and have a look at how it works. I mean, we've basically built an exchange. These are all different trading pairs in essence. On the app right now, our featured markets are the price of our ZTG token after Hydra DX's listing. We just got listed on Hydra DX. We're currently predicting on what the US dollar currency index is going to be at the end of Q2. I mentioned the Turkish presidential election. These have tons of liquidity in them. They're providing accurate results. They are showing a very, very likely outcome. As I said, the UEFA Champions League is predicting correctly. It's predicting Manchester City. The Turkish election is predicting that Recep Tayyip Erdogan is going to win that election. Let's have a look at another one here. What is the price of ZTG going to be now that it's been listed on Hydra DX? It's currently, the prediction is 10 cents. So that's a scalar market, which is incredibly awesome. It's not just a simple binary market. It's actually a scalar market. And that's predicting 10 cents. Is it going to be 10 cents? The market ends at the end of June. So that's going to be interesting. Will it be 10 cents? We'll have to see. But at the moment, that's what the indication is. And I would believe that. That is, that's probably the biggest achievement, is an application that is not even a year old, built by, we're a humble team. We're 25 people in total, and that includes a fair amount of marketing, biz dev, and ops people, in terms of actual engineering and infrastructure, it's Bob would have to help me here, and I'm just going off the top of my head, like 12 people in total, maybe 15 people in total that are actually building the infrastructure here. And this application works. It's providing solid outcomes, it's providing accurate outcomes, and it just looks beautiful and it works smoothly. The interface is smooth. Out of all the things I've mentioned, I would say the actual application itself would have to be our biggest achievement to date.
Wow. Oh my God. There are a lot. Yeah. In terms of application, its biggest achievement, I mean, and so many more. And we know that it's a result of a really, really hard work of Zeitgeist. Yeah. And again, congratulations, Zeitgeist, on all of the recent achievements again. Yeah. So, well, I think it's time for us to look forward to the future. Yeah, so what includes in your plan for Zeitgeist to grow in the rest of 2023 or even further, sir?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there is a lot on the go at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, USDT is coming. It is currently in governance where we just kind of want to gauge, we want to gauge user temperature right now and see where people are at, how they feel. But USDT is going to be a big one. Of course, there's the incentive for people to participate in a market in a currency that isn't exposed to market fluctuations, right? And USDT is a great way to do that. And obviously now that USDT has come to Polkadot, it's going to be available. We are also currently about to release DOT onto the platform as well, so users can predict in DOT, they can trade in DOT. We're kind of experimenting, and there's a little bit of alpha here, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect too much, but it is a cool feature. We're sort of looking at an on-app or in-app mini DEX where people can trade their ZTG for USDT or DOT or a couple of the other Polkadot based assets, right? And so you would come in and you would then trade what asset you want to be making your predictions in. So that's on the way. A big one is our community ambassador program. Our community ambassador program is known as the SEER program, and of course SEER referring to being able to see the future, being a forecaster, being a fortune teller, right? And seer refers to those sort of prophets of old and those cool sort of mystics of old that are famous in folklore and famous ancient literature. And so that's what a seer refers to. And so our community ambassadors are known as seers, and we're actually rebooting our ambassador program. So big props to our head of community development, Bob, who is in this call. He was going to back me up if I couldn't answer any questions correctly. So if he does ask to speak, please bring him on. And also to Yuli. Yuli is 2IC to Bob. And they've done such a great job with our community ambassador program. So that's SEER programs getting a reboot, and it's going to provide a whole bunch of cool incentives for people that want to represent Zeitgeist and be part of building what we're doing. Then what else? What other? Oh, the big one. The big one is smart contracts. You would have noticed I tweeted out today on the Zeitgeist account about if-then commands, right? Obviously, a standard if-then command. If-else command is basic programming, but a smart contract is automating an if-else command, right? And if we had the ability to automate commands in the Zeitgeist ecosystem, just imagine what that could do, right? So you could write a smart contract that said, if market A resolves to this outcome, then do this. And so smart contract functionality is going to be rolled out within the next month or so. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but that's gonna open up a whole lot of doors. There's so many different things that users and builders could play with there. If market B has X amount of liquidity, then do this. If market C resolves to this, then open a new market for X, Y, and Z. There's so much that can be done with smart contract functionality, and that is also thanks to an integration with Moonbeam. So we're going to be EVM compatible as well. And that's another big feature which a lot of builders are excited about. People who are familiar with Solidity will be able to integrate our prediction markets into whatever it is that they're building. So that's another big one. And I think those are the big ones. We will be supported by Ledger, but I'm not as excited about that right now because of the stories around Ledger at the moment. Obviously, Ledger really messed up with their recent release, and so we're like, we don't want to talk too much about Ledger right now. We'll wait for them to close up shop and make sure that they tighten up their security a bit better and don't release such silly features. But we're planning to work closely with Ledger, and we have actually been working with them, so we will be supported. Those are the big ones. You will be able to create private markets as well, so you could create a market just for you and your friends that no one else can participate in. If you just wanted to create a small little market for your own internal team or whatever the case is. And I think that's about enough alpha for the next couple of months. All of those should be up and rolling by the end of 2023.
Yeah, all of them are super cool. So the smart contract, well, that's huge, and I mean, like, that kind of means a lot to Zeitgeist and also the users in terms of the wider experience. And I think it's gotta be so great when it's officially released. Yeah. And I think I know that there's still a lot of things to do to make all of them come into play and work as their best, but we believe that with Zeitgeist passion and vision and strategy, we definitely can expect a lot of good news in the upcoming months. Yeah, I definitely believe in it. Yeah. So for the last question, I think it's kind of relaxing. Yeah, if you think so. So if you have to say just 3 words or 3 sentences to express your pride in Zeitgeist, so what are those, sir?
3 sentences to express my feelings towards Zeitgeist. One of the best Web3 applications available. Sentence number 1. One of the best Web3 applications available. It's going to provide remarkable forecasting data. And thirdly, it's going to show the power of Web3. I would say those 3 things really sort of sums up my excitement about Zeitgeist.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, those are the strongest and the most impressive 3 sentences about feeling of a speaker about a project that I have received so far. Yeah, and that's really like something really sums up about Zeitgeist and what we can have the same feeling as you when we think about Zeitgeist, and that's really amazing. Yeah. So I think it's all about the questions today. We've been through a lot of good information about Zeitgeist, what is so unique about it, and also what are upcoming things that we should follow up with Zeitgeist. Yeah, and so before we say goodbye, sir, do you have any words left for our listeners today?
No, just to say thank you so much, Anna. you've been great. As I've said, I love your community. I love the Polkadot Insider community. And I mean, I just love the Polkadot community in general. I think, just to everyone, I just encourage you to check out our docs, go through our GitHub, build on our SDK if you can. We're often participating in hackathons. If you're familiar with Rust, if you're familiar with Substrate, I'd encourage you to build using our SDK, experiment with our SDK, experiment in our markets, and just to the Polkadot ecosystem as a whole. Just keep going, keep building, don't stop, don't worry about price action, just build. Forget about the noise, focus on the signal, and build. And finally, we're all in this together. So we're not against Ethereum. We're not against Cosmos. We're not against Cardano. We're in this together. We're not even against Binance, And yes, people like Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX screwed a lot of us over in terms of reputation and impacting the Web3 industry. But until they reveal themselves as nefarious actors, if they want to work with us, we do our best to accommodate them. We're all in this together. We're an industry that supersedes tribalism. Let's go beyond that. Let's work together, and let's build a connected world. Let's build a decentralized, connected world, and let's build wealth for everyone. I think those are values that I'd really like to leave everyone with.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. James, a lot for all the sharings today. I mean, all of them are just so great and informative to us. And also, we want to say that we, Polkadot Insider, and also Polkadot as a whole, really love you and Zeitgeist too. Yeah, and also we want to thank all the listeners who have joined us today. We hope that you just had a relaxing time with us. Yeah, and there are a lot of information today, so if you haven't catch up with any of them, you can play the recording again, or we are going to have a recap video about it very soon, so wait for it. And yeah, I think it's all about today, and I think it's time for us to say goodbye. So goodbye, everyone, and have a nice day, and see you all again on our AssetT Meme series. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Sir.